watching Rogers TV.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to RogersTV.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at RogersTV.com.
Hello and welcome to HealthLink, a program connecting home, community, and healthcare. My name is Carol Merton, and I am absolutely delighted today to have as my guest Sally MacDonald, who's here to talk about the importance of seniors and fitness for all ages. She's going to be discussing some of the programs that she offers, as well as the health benefits of keeping fit, active, and exercising for seniors. Thank you, Sally, so much for joining me today.
It's my pleasure, Carol. Thanks for inviting me.
This is great. So, Sally, I'm wondering if you would start off by telling people a bit about yourself. And I noticed that you have the RHEP after your name. Can you explain what that means? And also how long you've been doing the sorts of physical fitness programming that you've been doing?
Okay, so RHEP is Registered Health Exercise Professional.
Yeah.
It's an organization that I belong to, that's who I'm insured through.
Yeah.
Yes, because all seniors fitness instructors have to have insurance.
Yeah.
Learned that a long time ago. And what was the other question?
Well, just a bit about yourself. How long what prompted you to get interested in it, and how long have you been doing it?
Okay, it's a long story, but I'll try and condense it a little.
We have time.
It all started when I was working in a call center. After having other jobs that were damaging my body, I finally ended up with a nice, better paying job at the time. And I'm like, this is a good job. I'm learning all about computers and meeting tons of great people, making lots of friends. But after the second, just near the end of the second year, my knees just started hurting all the time. I had taught dance, step dancing and clogging for 10 years. So I figured, oh gosh, I'm getting problems with my knees already, but this sitting is the worst. Because every time I'd stand up from my chair for a break, I'd have to do a little hamstring stretch because my knees would both crack. And it was getting worse and worse. I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And it was as if my prayers were answered. I saw an ad in the paper that said, seniors fitness instructors needed free training from the VON. And I'm like, well, it says free training if you agree to volunteer for 1 year, 1 hour a week. And I thought, I can do that. And, I'm in my 50s. I should probably do this. Let's check it out. I had no idea about seniors or what it was like to be a senior. I still felt very young. So I was a young, youthful 50-something. So long story short, I signed up for the program. It was in Wyerton once a week for 6 weeks. So I booked those times off work and I showed up for every one except for the very last one. And I was really enjoying it. It was really easy. We just learned all kinds of good stuff about your body and different exercises and things. It was really simple and I was really thrilled with doing it because it seemed like this is a piece of cake compared to teaching dance. This is much slower and easy to remember. So then I happened to see an ad in the newspaper advertising a new facility that was opening up for women, including the 5 key areas of health. And it sounded like a very, very good program and a great new company, brand new to Owen Sound. It was a big facility. Thought, well, maybe I could get a job there. Sounds really cool. So I applied and lo and behold, I got hired. So I never actually finished my program with the VON, never did my volunteering at that time, and just went and took this job. And then it was on the job training. They sent us to Barrie for a couple of weeks and we learned all kinds of stuff about nutrition and vitamins on top of everything else about women's health. And it was a women's facility. And the girl that was hired, the two of us were hired at the same time and did the initial training. She was a fitness girl. She'd worked in gyms her whole life and she knew everything about fitness. And so we were just great to work together and learn from each other. So eventually when the gym opened, there was 5 of us all together then that were all trained. And Deb and I just became great friends and just taught each other everything we knew, basically.
Yeah.
So that was how it started.
Yeah.
But I wasn't considered a senior yet. I wasn't teaching classes right away. I was teaching machines. It was a circuit. similar to what Curves had, that kind of thing with a few weight machines, but mostly resistance training, hydraulics. So that's how that started.
Yeah.
And then years later, I did go back to VON. I talk with my hands.
That's okay.
I went back to VON. I called them up and I said, "Oh, hi, my name's Sally MacDonald." I said, "Years ago, I took one of your courses in Wyerton, and I'd like to volunteer now that I'm getting a bit older, because I guess by then I was probably in my late 50s and starting to realize I'm getting older." And I've always felt bad that I owed them these volunteer hours. So she said, "Wow, I think this is a first. No one's ever called and said they owed us anything." So we became great friends. Her name was Dorothy, and she became like a mentor to me over the years of me learning everything there was to know about seniors fitness. So with them, I went back. I was working at a gym. I'd actually changed gyms at that doesn't matter. That's all in the past. I was working at another women's health facility. Anyway, so Dorothy and I became really good friends, and she's the one who hired me first to actually get paid as an instructor. But I did my volunteer hours just teaching basic classes, and then I went on to get more certified with them. They offer all kinds of things. Obviously, CPR was a big one. We did that every year, and I was certified for their level 1 and their level 2 classes. And then I also became certified to teach their Parkinson's classes.
Yeah.
And then I took it one step further at her suggestion and got the SFIC certification, which is, I remember seeing you at one of those conferences one year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then after that, I renewed that certification every couple of years.
Yeah.
Until COVID, that all changed. And just somewhere along the line there, I started teaching my own classes. But I did volunteer for VON for the full year and became really involved with them. And then when the government came along and said, "We want VON to deliver these classes for us in the community and in retirement homes," it was okay. We get paid instructors now. So I was one of the first hires. And that was just crazy because there's such a shortage of teachers. They wanted to take all the classes they had and double them. So there's 2. And then all the retirement homes, which at that time there were 7, so 2 per week for them. So all of a sudden I'm teaching 5 classes every day practically. Well, it seemed like 5. It was 2 every morning and 1 every afternoon. And then I had started my own. I started my own classes.
Like you've got a lot of experience teaching at this point in time.
Yes.
Now, it's great to have that background because people need to have confidence when they're attending an exercise class that the trainers are skilled, experienced, have knowledge, and have experience in dealing with perhaps needs that are different than young athletes. We're talking about programs for women that are 50 and older adults. So you now offer those kind of fitness classes under the business name of Sally Sunshine, right?
So Sally Sunshine Gentle Fitness is the whole name.
Okay.
I mostly just go by Sally Sunshine, but yes.
Yeah. And before we talk about the benefits, you've also, it sounds like you continually stretch yourself, literally, to try new things. And you've just opened up a location that's accessible to people. Do you want to just say briefly where you're now located?
Sure. Yeah, so this was a surprise to myself, too. I didn't ever expect to be doing this at my age. It just kind of evolved, and next thing I know, I was saying yes. So I'm teaching classes 3 days a week at the Heritage Place Shopping Center and Mall. We all know it as the Heritage Mall, but they like to be called the Shopping Center now.
Okay.
And it's going so well. I couldn't be more thrilled.
Wonderful.
I'm there 3 days a week, Monday to Wednesday. I teach morning classes every day and then 2 afternoon classes on Tuesdays.
So if somebody who's watching the program wants to consider attending, how can they find out more about what's offered? And is there a fee? You don't have to say what the fee is, but how do people get in to these programs?
Okay. So there's a lot of different ways to find out. Number one, you can just walk through the mall on a Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, and you'll see my table out front of my little shop. So as you come into the mall, it's on your right. You can't miss it if you come in the Food Basics door. It's I have a table out front with all of my posters on it, which
Okay.
are basically giant business cards for every single class. So
Okay.
each poster is there about every different class. So it gives you all of the information about each one, the
Yeah.
equipment needed, what we're basically like a little, outline of what we're actually doing, that kind of thing. They are all the same price. They're $13. But most of the girls now are paying me by the month because they want to make the commitment. They say it helps them show up.
Ah,
And
yeah.
it also saves them money. So it's $10 if you sign up in advance. So
Oh,
each month they pay me in advance, and that helps me know that I've got my rent paid, which is
yeah.
really important.
For sure. And you do online, like there's online classes for people who may
Yes.
have transportation issues, or in the winter, people aren't.
Yes. So this is something I found just being in the mall. I've had people come in and be interested and then say, but I live out of town. Like,
Yeah.
well, so now I'm starting to sign some of these people up online,
Yeah.
like people from Port Elgin and Meaford.
Yeah.
Also, I do have a class on Thursday, which is not at the mall, which I probably should mention. That's at the Active Lifestyle Center, which is
Okay.
one of our local senior centers. It's the bigger one that runs humongous number of programs. Every spare minute is something. So I teach about my seniors yoga there on Thursdays, and it's been going for many years, prior to COVID even. So they've always been great for me, helping me give better prices because it's a bit subsidized.
Yeah.
So the classes
Excellent.
are a little less expensive there.
Yeah.
And so the
So,
online classes
yeah.
are something we started during COVID. Before that, I knew nothing about how to run a Zoom class. I had to just learn as I went, and it was a really hilarious learning experience for all of us because we were at the New Life Center one day teaching classes, and the girls said, they're going to lock us down again, and
Yeah.
we don't want to lose you. Why don't you take your classes online? Some of our friends in Toronto are doing this. And I said, I haven't got the first clue how to do that, but I guess I could find out.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, my son's teaching me, YouTube's teaching me, and I learned how to do it. And then we had a snow day where no one could get out. And we said, let's try it on Zoom. So I called up everybody, we did it, and it was successful. And then the
Excellent.
Christmas lockdown came, history and all
Yeah.
that. And we started the Zoom
Excellent.
classes, and they went really well all this time. They're still going.
Yeah.
But now I'm out teaching live in the mornings. So those Zoom classes are running on my videos, which I have made a video from every class I've ever taught. So
Yeah.
there's lots of
Excellent.
them. Yeah.
What kind of feedback are you getting? And obviously you're passionate about offering the classes to people. What kind of feedback are people telling you? And what are you seeing as a result of people doing these
Wow.
classes?
Well, there's a lot. I could answer in many different ways. I do get tons of positive feedback, and I have for many, many years. Sometimes you see someone who says, I used to do your classes years ago, and then I got this and that happened, and I'm back. I want to see you again. I did so well, and I've lost all my muscle tone, and this happened, or I had a fall, whatever. I want to get recovered, and I want to come back to classes. So a lot of people have done my classes, left, and come back.
Okay.
That's one type of positive feedback. I also, I talk to people. I mean, I love my job, and I'm always talking to people, and they don't hesitate to tell you what's happening in their bodies and what they're noticing, especially when they're new, and especially when they've been here for years. They just keep telling me, oh, this happened, that happened. So someone goes for a knee replacement, and they say, I got the best news. They're saying that I'm 3 weeks ahead of my recovery time because I was exercising with you before. Or my
Ah,
chiropractor says, wow, my body's in good shape for my age. They've never seen anyone 83 in such good shape. And I said, it's because I've been doing Sally's classes for years and years and years, twice a week,
yeah.
things like that. So I am so lucky that my clients are happy to share all this with me. I constantly have positive feedback,
Yeah.
which is, just spurs me on to do better.
So
And
there's
I'm
no
always
age
trying.
limit. There's no age limit for anyone to be able to participate in your classes. And
No.
if someone can't stand as well, they can do sitting exercises.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how the program actually runs. Like,
Okay.
do you just do what equipment do you use? Maybe fill us in a little bit about a class.
So I could tell you a little bit about each class. Monday class, well, so Monday and Wednesday are both cardio classes. So we're exercising the heart by working hard and sweating a little bit. If you don't want to sweat as much or something hurts, you can sit in your chair. So everyone has a chair. Some of them choose to stand behind it and hold it. Some choose to fold it up on the wall and work without it. But there are segments of every class where we sit down. But I do have one class which is primarily seated. So we sit for the whole 45 minutes, if not hour, because we often chat. I do find that seated classes, we tend to chat more. So sometimes they stretch a little longer because we get into some good conversations. So it's another way to make great friends.
Yeah.
But yes, every class has chairs available. Every class we do seated and standing. The cardio classes are the only ones that are a bit faster. And then the Monday class is a little faster than the Wednesday. And the Tuesday and Thursday are both modified yoga. So we do some actual yoga, but lots of stretching and flexibility work. But all of my classes have the same benefit. They all strengthen your core, strengthen your back, your arms, your legs, your glutes, which are your buttocks, and they all improve your core strength to the point where our balance improves. I watch these ladies improve over weeks and months. It's incredible. They start off bent like this and they get straighter, straighter, straighter. And it's just incredible to watch how they progress. I can't say enough good things about my clients. They're amazing. They amaze me every week with what they can do. And so I have to constantly challenge them with new exercises. So that's fun too. Makes it more fun for me.
Do you use anything like exercise bands or balls in your class at all? So maybe.
Yes, absolutely. So Monday and Wednesday after the cardio, we use bands for leg strength in both classes. We also do squats in some of the classes. Not every class has squats. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But the Wednesday class, we do all of the upper body strength and lower body strength with bands, resistance bands. But the Monday class, we use weights and bands.
Oh.
So if you want to get stronger with weights, so we have small weights and bigger weights. I have a whole stock of weights there, loaners, but a lot of people prefer to buy their own, so that's fine too. They can buy bands from me or balls from me. We also use balls for strengthening. You can squeeze them in with your hands or your knees. There's all kinds of things. And we also use them for cardio, just doing fun stuff with them, moving them around. They're great for exercising your hands and your fingers and your wrists. There's just so many things that we use that are all great props.
Yeah. And it sounds like if people purchase, like they could do exercises at home in between because they would have their bands and balls and they would know what to do, which is an advantage. You don't have to worry about fancy, huge pieces of equipment, right?
So that brings me to it. That brings me to another point, though, of the online classes. This is a great resource during the winter. If we have a snow day and we can't make it to class, or on a holiday Monday, then they just join me on Zoom, or they can have videos. So not everybody is still comfortable with Zoom. Not all the people want to do that. But they are all comfortable with YouTube. So all of my videos I upload to YouTube. They are private, but I just send them a link and say, here's a video. So for the gals that want to do more classes than what I'm offering live, they're doing videos on other days. So that's another thing they can do. So because I'm offering all the different types, no one has to go without. You can have your low-level seated class or your high-level cardio or something in between. Do it at home or at class with me. So,
and that's really great because it sounds like there's so much variety that depending on how a person is on any particular day or any life's experience they may have had, that they can pick and choose, which is really good. Now, let's say I was a newcomer and I'd not ever been to your class before. What advice would you give to me, and what should I expect from being at the class?
So some people go to my website and just find me and email me and say, I've never done a class before, where should I start? Well, of course, we need to know where they live. So if they're going to come, they can come to Owen Sound classes or online. But I always tell them, I need to know a little bit about you and your abilities. Just tell me, are you high level, low level, or do you want something nice and gentle, or fast or slow? So once I've got a better idea of what they're looking for, I'll direct them to which class seems the most suitable. But oftentimes people will graduate. They'll start off in the seated class and do it for a few months and say, tell me more about the morning class, because then they'll hear about it from their friends. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, why don't you come and try one? You can sit
Yeah.
down during the class if you need to. The chairs are there. And so then they might graduate to the other class. So this recently happened. I had 6 people went from one class to another class, and they're all
Oh,
doing great.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so even though aging is a journey, you can improve in your muscle strength and balance and function. I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I had a fall not that long ago, Carol,
Uh-oh.
and it took me a few weeks to get over it, but I continued teaching my classes. The doctor gave me the okay that was okay. He says, just modify so you don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But some falls just can't be avoided. Like in my case, it was something stupid. Probably could have been avoided, but I went straight down on my knee and pulled all the tendons and ligaments in my leg. Class was a bit painful for the first couple of days, but then it just eased right off and healed itself.
Yeah.
But a lot of people never fully recover. Some people do, some people don't. But exercise is recommended for every single disease, I'll say 99% of diseases. It's just, I've got to say, as a senior myself, I'm now 72, and if I didn't exercise as much as I do, I would probably be so stiff and sore all the time because I've got arthritis in my hips, my knees, my hands, my fingers, my neck. Like everybody, there's just everybody in my classes has something they can complain about, but we're just there to have fun and improve our health. That's the main reason we're all there, is just to improve our health and to feel better. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, exactly. So you're actually an excellent example of the fact that even if something happens and you're physically less able, exercising helps you to move through it and you can modify and still accomplish goals as
Yes.
far as your fitness as well.
Yes.
So if I've never done exercise or haven't for years and years, and I start a class, are there certain things you recommend? Like, you know, should I do everything or should I do all of the repetitions? Like, how do you tailor it? You obviously screen people for the right classes, but
Yes.
but what other advice do you give to people?
Well, the funny thing is, peer pressure is it's really difficult for people when you tell them to just do what feels good.
Yeah,
Sometimes they will push themselves just because the person beside them is doing the same thing and they don't want to feel different.
yeah.
So some of those people do prefer at home online,
Ah,
because then they can modify it however they need to. So my
yeah,
online gals have told me that they're like, I don't want to go back to live because there's things that I don't do, that I don't want anyone else to know what I'm not doing, because I don't want to deal with the peer pressure. I don't want to be the only one doing it different. But I always assure newcomers, just do what feels good. So a lot of people have trouble reaching overhead.
hmm,
Shoulders are one of the first things to go for many seniors. We have a lot of nurses, retired nurses. They seem to be the ones with the most terrible shoulders. But of course, we always stress modifying. I try to remind everybody at every single class, do what feels good for your body today.
yeah,
Because today is not yesterday. It can be totally different today. You might have been raking leaves for all day yesterday and now your wrists are sore. So whatever you've got going on today, modify the class to suit yourself. And if I
yeah,
see someone wince in pain, I'm like, did I just see you wince in pain? Well, yeah, well then don't use that arm for the rest of the exercise. And I
yeah.
will suggest do less reps or do every second one, but it is really
Okay.
hard to make people stop. It's so hard. They feel like they need to keep up with everybody else. It's
So
peer
no
pressure.
matter what the age, sometimes it's hard to pull the reins back on people when they want to just go, go, go.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Any surprises for you in the teachings that you've done? Anything that you never really would have expected when you started on this fitness journey?
Um, that's a funny question. I never expected to have my own place, but now that
Oh,
I have it, I love it. It was never in the cards. It was never a plan. It was just I rented spaces in different places and prices just kept going up and up and up. And I said, this is getting ridiculous. I mean, I have to keep running my classes because more and more people are messaging me and wanting more classes. What am I going to do? And then I did a little class at the mall for Mental Health Week once. And she said, we'd love to have a class here at the mall. And so I said, well, why don't we try one in the food court where there's already chairs and tables. And we ran a seated yoga class. They actually brought me chairs every week, and we kept it really cheap. There was no rent, and we just did it as a little, experiment. Well, it went really well. And so the next year I said, let me see if there's any bigger spaces they could give me. So she inquired, and we went on a little tour and saw some spaces. And when she showed me the one that I did accept that I'm using now, I said, this could work. And after that, I tried it for 1 day a week and just rented it for the 1 day. And they gave me a really good price. I was thrilled. So I was able to get out of one place that I was somewhere else and have a slightly better price. Plus, everyone knows where the mall is. Yeah. The parking's great. The winter, they keep the sidewalks and everything clear. And it's climate control. Once you're in there, it's so easy for seniors especially. So it just seemed like a no-brainer. And then I added the extra, that was last April. And then in the fall, I decided to, actually rent the place for 3 days and be able to leave my stuff there. Oh my goodness, such a great idea. Not having to carry all my bags of balls and all my everything with me.
You'd be lost in what you were carrying with all of it.
But it's like having a baby. It's like now that I have it, I've got to keep buying stuff for it. It's like having a child. It's like, okay, well, I want to buy this and I want to buy that and I want to buy this. I just keep buying new things every month.
There you go. So, Sally, we have about just a minute left in the program. Any new things you're going to be offering or, adding more days? Just briefly, if you can fill us in.
Well, I'm not adding more days, but I do change things up now and then. It's a little harder with live classes because every time you make a change, you've got to change all those posters. And then there's people out there who've seen the posters and might show up for that class and expect it. So you can't make drastic changes. Gotcha. But some things that I've done online that have been fun, I like to do Dance Fit. I like to do a couple of months. So I have a 10-week series of Dance Fit where I say during our cardio classes, we're going to do 5 minutes dance. And so I teach them a dance similar to line dancing. They learn a dance. It's all fitness moves that they've already learned, but put into a little dance routine and to a nice dancey number. And so we learn the moves and then we put on the music and then we dance for 5 minutes. And that's just part of their cardio. So that's something that the girls haven't done in the live classes yet. They've only done it online. So they don't know that this is coming yet, but it is coming.
Stay tuned. Sally, I have so enjoyed having this conversation with you and learning more about what you're offering. I wish you all the best. I think it's just a wonderful service that you offer. And thank you for being here. Thank you to our viewing audience for joining us as well. To learn more about programs, resources, and services available to you and to your family. Take care and stay safe.
Thanks.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.